got 25 people in the room.
Great.
So we'll just get started. For anyone who misses a little bit, I mean, this is being recorded and it will be shared on the new TMAC website. So hi everyone, I'm Tanya Kadikian. For those who don't know me, I'm an industry member with DCI and I'm the chair for the National PD Committee. So the National PD Committee puts together several virtual PD sessions annually in addition to the PD sessions for our conference. And so I'm happy to kick off our first virtual PD session of 2025 with Nancy Small. So Nancy's going to be chatting about all things related to working with Tourism Richmond. You know, this is great for our media members here to kind of better understand how your industry peers work and the needs that, you know, we have when it comes to partnerships with our media, whether you are a content creator or traditional media, you know, just really understanding the nuances of it, especially as we move into 2025. The industry is ever evolving. And so Nancy really has a pulse on that with her work at Tourism Richmond, and we'll be happy to kind of walk you through what she does there and how to better these relationships so it's a success for you and for DMOs that you'll be working with. So I'll give you a little bit more about Nancy. She's the CEO of Tourism Richmond, which is British Columbia's fourth largest destination marketing and management organization. And so Nancy actually specializes in strategic planning, destination development, stakeholder engagement, business development, and marketing strategy. So really all the overarching things that makes our press trip program successful. She's very active in the tourism industry and in the Richmond community. So she's the co-chair of the Canadian Destinations Leadership Council, or the CDLC. She's the past chair of the BC Destination Management Association, and she's a director on the board of the Culinary Tourism Alliance, as well as a director on the board for Go2HR, which is an awesome facet of the work that she does. And she's a director on the board of the Richmond Chamber of Commerce and a member of the fundraising group for the Richmond Cares, Richmond Gives Foundation annual Christmas Bureau. So all the things. She's a very passionate advocate for the tourism industry. And overall, Nancy loves Richmond's diversity of food, especially the delicious dumpling trail and world famous Richmond Night Market. And so we're really looking forward to chatting with Nancy, but I'll tell you a little bit more about Tourism Richmond so you better understand what she's going to talk about today. So Tourism Richmond's a nonprofit, stakeholder-driven DMO, which promotes Richmond to residents, leisure travelers, meeting planners, travel media like yourselves, and organizations that influence travel. And so Richmond also works closely with the travel and tourism industry stakeholders and municipal officials to enhance and position Richmond as a can't-miss part of Metro Vancouver. So their primary mandate is to increase awareness through sales and marketing initiatives to provide that visitor experience at an excellent level and showcase stakeholder services. So basically making sure that Richmond's community benefits from a thriving visitor economy. So with that being said, now that you got a little understanding of Nancy and Tourism Richmond, we will kick it over to Nancy, who will kind of chat with you about all the pieces of working with her and understanding how to better work with DMOs. And before Nancy's chat, sorry, I know there might be some questions. Nancy's presentation, I think she'll chat for like 20 minutes. So if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat. I'll be moderating, and so I'll help to address those questions once Nancy is finished.
Awesome. Thank you. Can you guys, this is the infamous question, can everybody see the front slide of my presentation? And I can't see anybody all of a sudden, so
Yes, we can, Nancy.
I'm speaking into a black hole, so forgive me. This is very strange, but I literally cannot see anyone. Thank you so much, Tanya. I'm really excited to be here. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope that you're all across the country keeping warm and safe from the various snow events and cold weather that's been happening across the country. Happy to report 9 degrees going to be here today in balmy Richmond. So sorry about that. But, you know, I have to dig in every now and again and continue to promote February on the West Coast is very lovely most of the time. We did have 2 weeks of winter the last couple of weeks, but the snow is all gone and we're back to rain and 9 degrees. So very excited about that. As Tanya said, I'm the CEO of Tourism Richmond. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here today and talking to you about something I do know a little bit about, which is destination marketing and management organizations, and certainly how we forge partnerships across many different aspects of the business, including, of course, TMAC and many of you who I do know and have met over the years in my various roles, whether in at Tourism Richmond or in my various volunteer roles that Tanya mentioned. So, the topics we're going to talk about today, I want to give you a sense of what, destination marketing and management organization is. You probably have a sense of what they are, but I wanted just to kind of solidify a little bit and just kind of ground us in some thinking about what we do. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the community vitality wheel, which may be a new term for you, but that's what we specialize as destination management organizations. Talk a little bit about Tourism Richmond, and then destination marketing, but also, moving quickly into how does what you do fit within what we do? And I think that's where we're really going to get to the meat of the discussion, and how we work, not only within Tourism Richmond, but within the industry, and how we work with travel media, and talk a little bit about press trips and fans and kind of where things are going for 2025. And then, from a TR perspective, Tourism Richmond perspective, and what I see just generally, some of the kind of key themes I would say for 2025, and you will have a really good handle on that as well. So that's where we could probably get into some fairly robust discussion about what those story pitches or those themes are for this coming year. As we move into some, fairly uncertain times, as we understand, the dynamics that are happening, south of the border and other places. So that there may be some questions about that as well. The way that the word that I use, and you probably have heard this before, catalysts and connectors, and the ultimate in collaborators. And really what we try to do as DMOs, we try to act as that go between, that bridge, that catalyst, the connection point between industry could be, it could be hotel, it could be restaurants, it could be attractions, it could be experiences, and the community. And in addition to that, we're also the ultimate, what we see ourselves and what we try to be, what we always strive to be, are the ultimate in collaborators. The thing that I tell my team often, and you may have heard me say this, is as DMOs, we don't actually produce anything. I don't produce a widget. What I try to promote is a concept, a dream, if you will, that really tries to bring industry and community and people like yourselves together, understanding how we're different, how we as a community are different from others, because every community, every city has its own unique qualities, and all of those are worthy of discussion, I believe. And I think that as DMOs, we're in a very unique position to be able to talk about many different aspects of our community, whether it's the food scene, or whether it's the latest attraction, or whether it's something new that's happening within the destination. So catalyst, connector, and really what we hope and what we strive to be are the ultimate in collaborators, and there is a resource, especially for what you do, to help you do what you do, and provide the connections, and I guess the bridges to help you get to what you need to do in order to promote the content. So I want to just touch on this for a second, because this is a really important, I guess, aspect that within the DMO world, we all really, I guess, believe in. If you drink the Kool-Aid, which I certainly do, this is really the basis for how we operate and the value that we add as destination organizations to our community. So you can see here, there's this kind of wheel. So it starts with a visit, and then the visit could potentially mean, oh, I really like it there, so I'm going to live there, then I'm going to work there, I'm going to invest in that community. And what we try to do as destination organizations is, clearly we want it to start with a visit, and then we're going to work with our different stakeholders, our different members, our different partners, to try to move people along that wheel, because ultimately what we're all about as destination organizations is the community. Because without the community and the support of our community, and frankly, the differentiating aspects of our different communities, we don't have a product to actually promote or talk about. So community support, community vitality are absolutely critical to how we work as organizations. And there's a word you probably have heard over the last number of years, which has become quite popular, called stewardship. And stewardship is something that we work with our different partners on, whether it's our municipality, whether it's or hoteliers, whether it's our attractions. We work with all of those groups to help ensure that what the community is getting from a tourism perspective is what they want. And I'm sure that many of us and many of you have probably even written about, different aspects, the negativity of some aspects of tourism and some of the challenges that some communities actually do have when it comes to tourism. And I think it's really important that we as an industry, and that you understand that we as an industry, we're recognizing that, and recognizing that this is a time of reckoning in some areas where they need to make sure that what the community is wanting is what is actually being delivered. And truly, it does start with the community destination, or community destination marketing and management organization. Because as I said, we are those connectors. We're that person in between industry and community that can really help bridge the connection and making sure that what we're doing is what the community wants. Tourism Richmond, as Tanya said, we're the fourth largest destination marketing and management organization in the province of British Columbia. And we are funded. I just want to touch a little bit on the funding models because they differ across the country, and I think it's really important from understanding, how we're funded and how those things work. So we are funded in British Columbia. There's a program. Basically, it's a hotel tax or bed tax. It's called the Municipal Regional District tax, and essentially every room night that's sold in Richmond, I get a certain percentage of that, and that is what feeds my budget. I answer to an industry led board of directors, 12-person board of directors. And I also answer to our municipality because we cannot run or cannot collect the tax without the municipality as a partner, and the accommodations as well. So it really is quite a beautiful system in a lot of ways because it does speak to what the municipality wants and what the hotel community wants. But I wanted to make sure that we acknowledge, I guess, maybe the elephant in the room, sort of, or the elephant in my room often, which is a term you may have heard, which is heads in beds. Even though I'm funded through a hotel tax, our board really looks at it from a destination management and marketing standpoint, not just about driving hotel room nights. Because if you're looking at just one aspect of the tourism industry, you're going to lose a lot of some of the other more powerful and very poignant aspects to the industry that we can help affect and impact within our community. So yes, we in particular, Tourism Richmond, are funded by the hotel tax, but we have really evolved through the years so that we're much more than a heads and beds revenue generator for hotels. We actually exist to serve our community and to help, as I mentioned, I'll use that word again, steward, and really be the stewards for our community from the tourism industry perspective. This funding model actually differs across the country. It really depends where you are. Some of it is actually driven at the municipal level. Some of it is driven at the provincial level, and some, municipal and provincial. And some DMOs do not receive any hotel tax funding. So there's very different models across the country that depend on where the funding comes from. And not that you would ever be able to know all of those different models, because even within BC, we have this district tax, but even within those 70 DMOs that are in our province, the 70 DMOs are structured differently. Some have membership, some have stakeholder relationships, and some are funded primarily by the municipality, forgetting about a bed tax. So it really depends. And that's part of, I think, some of the intel maybe that you can, if you're looking at a particular destination, thinking about what the DMO, who the DMO is, and how they can actually enhance what you're doing and potentially fund what you're doing, or fan trip, press trip, etc., really does depend on their funding model and who their stakeholders are and who their members are. So it's just a bit of an insight that I think it's really important to always ask the question. And as DMOs, we should all be very transparent about how we're funded, because this is the backbone. We're here for the community, and there should never be any question about that, in my humble opinion. And I'll just share with you from a Tourism Richmond perspective, and all DMOs will have a version of this, but we really, we're a not-for-profit association, and we are, again, driven by the community and driven by industry. So everything that we do, our purpose as an organization is that our community benefit from a thriving visitor economy. So it's really the community first, visitor economy driving that community benefit. And then the vision is really important. Richmond, many of you are probably familiar with our city. We are really good friends with, and really good colleagues with, our beautiful sister immediately to the north of our city, in Vancouver. And of course, Vancouver, world-class destination, one of the top cities in the world. Aren't we lucky to be part of that Metro Vancouver experience? And what I try to do, and what our team tries to do as Tourism Richmond, is really, if you think, extract or build our own case for a very complimentary destination experience as part of your Vancouver experience. So it's not that I could ever, would even want to compete with Vancouver. Vancouver is a unique and amazing, vibrant destination. But what Richmond does, it offers something quite different. So that's why we've landed on this as our vision, as part of the Metro Van experience. And we have to be realistic, we have to be pragmatic, but we also have to be ambitious. So we really believe that that this is something that really sets us apart from some of the other Metro Vancouver destinations that are here, because we are quite different and quite unique, the way that our city has grown, and the different aspects that we have of our city. The values that we have in as an organization: excellence, passion, integrity, collaboration. And this is, you can see they spell out a word called EPIC. I love acronyms. So we created the acronym, EPIC values, and we really want it to showcase in everything that we do, not only within our marketing or our destination development, our destination marketing, our business development, really about how we operate and how we operate as an organization within our own team, but how we show up within the community. And this has really resonated with our team and our community over the last number of years, as we've really been very prominently out there with promoting our EPIC values. And then our mission is building Richmond's reputation and making it a desirable place to live, work, and visit. So remember the wheel: the living, the working, visiting, and then investing. That really is what speaks to that. So every destination marketing and management organization will have a version of this. And, this is Richmond's version. I'm very proud of this. This is something that we've worked hard to build out over the last number of years, as we've really, gained some strengths in many different areas. But these are the pillars that, we operate under, and everything we do should speak to, or should be part of, these underlying pieces that help our team and help our board direct accordingly. Destination marketing is something that DMOs, that was kind of how we were born. Many of us are born, we're born with the ad in Condé Nast Traveler or National Geographic magazine or whatever. Destination marketing is how we as organizations started, and it really is about, that function of building and communicating the unique elements of our own particular destination. And many of us are very passionate about our destinations, and we want to make sure that that passion comes through. And we all work very hard to create those visuals, those videos, those pictures, the storytelling, all of the aspects around marketing that help us differentiate ourselves from our other destinations, whether within Canada or around the world. And this is our brand story, and I don't necessarily need to read it out to you, but most destinations would have an equivalent of this. The thing about Richmond that many of you probably experienced is that people cultures converge. It's not necessarily refined. It's something a little bit different, something a little bit unique, and everything that we do speaks to this brand story. Whether it's the pictures that we put out, the video, or how we work with people like yourselves in promoting who we are as a destination. But this is really the glue that holds everything together. And as I said, all DMOs would have within their marketing function, they would have a brand story for their own particular destination. And this was about 18 months in the making several years ago when we went out and talked to our community and really kind of got to I guess, the underbelly of who our community was, and worked very closely with some experts within, kind of branding and marketing, and helped us formulate this. And this is something we are very, very passionate about. And Pacific Authentic Richmond, BC is, kind of, as I said, the glue that really hangs everything together that we talk about and that we do. So how does it work in terms of what we think? I call it earned media. It sounds maybe a little bit that's a very corporate way of putting it, but it really is part of a complete marketing strategy and part of a destination marketing strategy and part of our destination marketing. And it's been interesting, the journey coming back from COVID. As we rebuilt our organization, we went down to 5 people from 20. We're now back up to 20 people, which is fantastic. And the travel media component of that has really just started to come back for us in the last year and a half as we rebuilt our team. And now we have the resources and the people to help us actually communicate and be members again of TMAC, frankly. It was dormant for a while, and I think many of our colleagues were probably in a similar space, but we're back, and it really is part of our marketing strategy as we move forward. And as we look to 2025, we've actually carved out an even bigger portion of our marketing budget to help us tell that story, and to work with TMAC and to work with you all in order to help us tell that story. And you're going to tell it a little differently than our destination marketing folks will. You're going to tell it from an unbiased opinion, and that's always really exciting for us to see what the results are. But I really believe, and our team really believes here, and that it is part of that complete story that we need to really dedicate time, dedicate resources, dedicate budget to make sure that we are telling as complete a story as possible. We One of the things I mentioned was collaboration, and collaboration is critical to be successful in this industry, and I know you all know that. One of the things that we pride ourselves on is collaborating within our community. Tanya mentioned some of the things that I do kind of outside of my day to day, but I am at my core, and our team is as well. We are collaborators, and we want to work with you and your teams and yourselves to help tell the story of Richmond. And it's a really unique and beautiful story, we believe. So there's a lot of ways that we can work, and there's a lot of ways that you can work. And I think Tanya mentioned earlier, the industry is evolving so quickly as we look to what 2025 is going to bring from a travel media perspective. And we do a lot of things within our destination marketing plans, and one of those we want to continue to do is to continue to work with yourselves. And at the heart of a lot of I think very important strategy tactics that we undertake are, I call them fams, sometimes they're called press trips. It's bringing you into our market, and there's truly nothing like seeing something firsthand, eating the food, especially in Richmond, very important, meeting the makers, seeing the vistas, really getting at the heart of what a particular destination is. And that is, I believe, a critical part, certainly for us as Richmond, because many people think they might know what Richmond is. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But invariably, whenever I bring, whether it's a meeting planner or whether it's a journalist or whether it's a content creator, um, they're surprised, and that always makes me feel really good because it reinforces the whole entire investment of time and budget when we think about what a press trip or a FAM can do. So it's a really important strategy for us because the continued evolution of our city and the fact that we are very different, and I've been in the city doing this job for 7.5 years, sorry, 6.5 years. Even in those 6.5 years, it has changed so much. So to reintroduce or introduce, depending on who you are, our city is a really important strategy for us in particular. Others will have different strategies depending on how they work. We also work very closely and partner with our provincial and regional partners, and that I think is really important to for us as kind of a mid to large DMO in BC, but a mid size within the Canadian landscape is making sure that we're part of Team Canada or we're part of Team BC when we go to show or when we have travel media appointments, when we're in any marketplaces. It's really, really important for us to partner with the larger groups, and that to us gives credibility instantly about how we show up and how as we can actually make sure that our awareness has grown. Now, it doesn't mean that even if I'm in the Canada showcase at IMM, people don't think that we're Richmond, Virginia, because that has happened. And many of you, I'm sure I've probably shared the stories with, which is somewhat amusing in a way, but it just means that we've got to work a little bit harder because Richmond, Virginia is a very beautiful, I'm sure, destination in its own right. But when we're in the U.S., we need to make sure that Canada is part of all of the communications that we do. Slightly different in our Canadian partners, but still, we need to work really hard, and that partnership piece is something that's really ingrained in our entire team about how we work and how we show up and come to the table, whether it's literally or figuratively. So for 2025, maybe no surprise here for Richmond anyway, and I think this is probably indicative of what a lot of us are feeling. Food, glorious food is something. The culinary scene is absolutely critical to the success of us as a destination. And we have local support restaurants, and we have incredible people who have come here from other countries who have created culinary experiences that are unlike anything you'll see in Canada. And again, many of you have probably been here. The locals and kind of the keeping it real, I think that's going to get even more prominent as we move into 2025, and what the activities that are happening outside of our industry will affect our industry actually. And there's a lot of rhetoric at the moment about and division, I guess, that's happening in North America, which is, in my humble opinion, very unfortunate. But it's a moment in time. But I think this locals keeping it real aspect and digging at the heart of our communities and how we can allow you to do that and open up those doors for you from a media perspective, from a content creation perspective, is again something that we can do. And that's what gets, I think, a lot of us very excited about understanding what is the really interesting thing about a destination, and who are those locals that are really keeping it real. And this photo is somebody from a food court in that's on our dumpling trail, and it's pretty incredible food, even though maybe it looks a little different than what you'd expect from a high-end restaurant experience. And I mentioned the word stewardship earlier. This is part of, again, that recognition that we as an industry, we have to work within our community and within our provincial and national tourism landscape to make sure that our destinations are preserved, that our community continues to support tourism, and that we continue to welcome visitors in whatever form that is. And Richmond is a very different destination in terms of that stewardship model than somewhere like Tofino, for example. So you have to recognize those differences in community, and we are the airport city within the Metro Vancouver region, and we have a lot of hotel rooms. Tofino, very different destinations. So there's a very I guess kind of fine line, and we're all trying to walk that, and I think that's a really important theme for many of us as we move into this year and beyond. So just coming to the end, and then we just love to open it up for questions or conversation. Within the DMO world, collaboration partnerships absolutely key. Uh, I really love working together to with you all, and have worked with many of you here on this call to create those compelling stories and cover those motivating and transformative experiences, because at the heart of all of us, we're here to experience something different. We want to promote the uniqueness of our own destinations, and we want to support industry, and you help us do that in the compelling stories and the things that you uncover that might take it down a different direction that we even had thought about, which is always super cool and super exciting for us to help and work with you on. That community alignment and tourism, as a key community benefit, are key motivators actually to what we do, and how I work, and how we allocate our budget and our investment of time and budget, and how our teams work within our community. And local, and it's not only because of the potential scenarios with tariffs and other things in the US, but I think we've seen that from even before COVID, actually, the local makers, the local food, the 100 mile diet, et cetera, is all part of the tourism fabric now that we're all working on. And it's always exciting for me to uncover and hear what other destinations have to offer. And I believe that the opportunity, I would like to offer that up to all of you on behalf of my DMO colleagues, and I'm sure many of you work with many DMOs anyway, but just reinforcing the fact that we're here for you, and whether it's for the press trip, or whether it's to introduce you to that local maker, or whether it's to help you understand how we're different and what that is, that local aspect is not going to go away. And that's what people are looking for now, as they're looking at something a little bit different. And of course, Richmond. Last plug for Richmond, of course. Wouldn't do my job if I didn't. But that hidden gem aspect of who we are is always something that we really try to promote, and uncovering the different food, especially food, is part of what I try to offer up to all of you to help us tell our own particular story. So with that, I thank you very much again, Tanya, for the time and the opportunity. And maybe what I'll do is I'm going to close out. And oh, there you all are. Great. So that was weird, because literally the only thing I could see on my screen was my screen. So that was strange. But great to see everybody's faces. And yeah, I'd love to hear any questions that you might have. So
Thank you.
maybe Tanya, do you want to moderate, or do you want to
Yeah, I mean, we've
yeah,
got some discussion already in the chat, which is
awesome.
great. Lindsay had the first question.
Yeah.
Just to touch on a little bit more about some of the points in the description for today's discussion. So one of them was, how, Tourism Richmond works with travel media and content creators. If it's, anything more, you can elaborate on that. And then the other 2 points are about press trip planning, what those hosted experiences look like, and what you think makes a great pitch in a media partnership. So
Yeah,
whichever one you want to dig into more first.
it's interesting because we as an organization, I've got one person basically who this is part of her job that that helps to kind of manage the storylines and the different things that we talk about. So it ends up to be a fairly reactive, but we're trying to get more proactive in terms of the story starter question. And I think, we've just engaged with a PR firm actually, which is new for us, and we're very excited about being more proactive, not only when we have something new to say, which often, okay, there's new stuff, but sometimes we're trying to reiterate and reintroduce old things that have been around that are still warranting interest. But I don't think we do enough of it, frankly. And I think that that's a really great question about the story starters and how we can be more proactive to media, because I think we would see some good benefit from that. If that's something that you think is helpful from, and John, maybe I'll put you on the spot, and that's something that you would find helpful to, kind of help understand what's new and what's interesting out there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I get them from Destination BC, and
Yeah,
even like I think once a month or something, there's 3 or 4 things that get sent out, and it gets the juices flowing. If you
yeah,
something you might not have thought of, and they're helpful in that not only you've got certain things you want to maybe cover as a DMO, but what it'll also do is okay, so maybe there's not something specifically in there, but it might get a writer thinking about, well, what if I put this angle on it, or take it in a slightly different direction. It's an idea generator, and we're always looking for ideas. So
yeah. No, that's great feedback. Thank you for that. And again, I think many of us, need to be more proactive that. And DBC does, obviously they've got a phenomenally professional, excellent group working for them. We work very closely with them, but that's on my to-do list. So thank you for that, John, to help me kind of, determine what's going to be of most value to you. Jennifer, I did get to spend 2 nights at Versante, fantastic. And I was invited back to Richmond. Yeah. So citizen relations are the group that we've just started working with. We started working in the back half of last year, and it's been really exciting for us to have an external arm out there helping us doing exactly what you talked about, whether it's a fam trip, whether it is just a site visit, whether it's somebody coming in individually yourself or a colleague, or helping uncover what that story is. Think of them as an extension of our team, because as I said, I've basically got zero point 0.5 of a person who's helping to, kind of be out there in front of people like yourself. So it's really, really important for you to feel them as an extension of us, and always understanding that they've got our back, and they're the ones we've engaged on a monthly basis. They're now a partner of ours that we have a longer term relationship with, that will help us ensure that we're reaching the right people at the right time.
Nancy, is there a specific contact? Maybe you could throw their email in the chat here from
Yeah,
Citizen.
yeah. What I'll do is I'll send it to you afterwards, Tanya, and then
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we'll send it
yeah,
over.
yeah. I'll send that to you afterwards. Yeah,
So
Awesome.
on the note of contacts,
yeah.
I
Erica,
know
hi.
we had how are you?
Good. Nice to see you.
Sadly not down the road from you right now. I'm looking after my mom at the moment in Ontario, but
Oh gosh, yeah.
missing the local
Missing the
food
9 degrees.
as
9 degrees,
sorry?
Common.
not sunny. 9 degrees of rain, but yes.
No, there's snow, a lot of snow.
Mm,
Um we did have a BC board meeting the other day, and Richmond came up in it. And you do have a few of us on the call right now. And I know one of the questions, like, that was because we do have we've got Richard organizing events for us on the local chapter,
yeah,
and we would like to get out and be exploring more in Richmond. Who is
absolutely.
the best person to be contacting? Because you now have a team of 20. So
Well, I think start with me is probably the easiest thing to do, and then I can decide what's going to make sense, and then I can work with Hannah or Patrick, our head of marketing, just to kind of make sure that everything. But start with me, and end small at tourismrichmond.ca. tourismrichmond.com. So easy to remember. So I'll just type it there just in case anybody wants to contact me. And very happy to hear from any of you at any time, especially our friends at the BC chapter. So yes, please,
Thank you.
anytime. So contact me first, and then that's easy for me just to funnel it through the team.
Thank you.
Yeah, Lindsay, you had a question about measuring the success of campaigns. It comes down to a couple of different measures, and we have very specific, within Richmond's perspective, we have specific geography and target audiences that we want to reach. And clearly, we're not going to be going after people in Florida, for example, just as a bad example. But Washington, Ontario, and Alberta are key geographic markets for now. We are actually looking at different markets from a marketing and travel trade perspective in Asia, and also in the US, but depending what happens there, but certainly within Asia, we've been working a lot. But from a travel media perspective, geography is important, but eyeballs are important as well. So if we have a group of 5 content creators or media that comes in as part of a particular press trip, then we will certainly do a wrap-up report about what the article was written, if any, because it's not always tied to an article. It could come out a year later, for example, but what was written, and then how many people it reached, and did it hit on any or all of some of the key points. So the content analysis is actually part of it as well. And you can imagine the things that we promote as our key areas of differentiation. Certainly food and Steveston are the 2 primary ones, but that's really how we measure. So there's a numbers game, but there's also a qualitative game as well, in terms of does it establish ourselves as kind of from a brand perspective, who we want to be. I'll give you an example. So we had a writer from Calgary come out with her daughter, and she stayed at the Fairmont at YVR, and she wrote this fantastic piece, 24 hours in one of the best stopover locations in North America. And that was really played into a lot of the things that we try to talk about. And, as a stopover, what a great place to stop over. We're not a typical, airport community where there's not really much else going on. There's actually a lot going on. So that to me was from a qualitative perspective, it really hit on a lot of the key points, but from a quantitative perspective, it got the eyeballs too. So that's the dream that we're all working towards, and yeah, that's part of how we measure success and making sure. But the other side of that is things like this, where I get an opportunity, and I'm very thankful for that, to talk in front of this group, and it really helps build those relationships and build the awareness, not only of Richmond as a destination, but also of what you're looking for. So I really see it as a two-pronged thing.
Okay, so can I ask a specific question?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I'm a digital creator.
Yeah.
I am for hire. If you were to hire me to come and give you a set level of deliverables,
Yeah.
what do you want to see from me afterwards besides eyeballs? Because I'm limited to, say, Instagram gives me this information, TikTok gives me this information, Facebook gives me this information, Google Analytics gives me this information. So how do you want to see that? I guess that's a personal question, because everyone's going to want to see it differently, but yeah, I'm trying to provide a report that's going to be the most efficient for everyone. So I just like to know what you like to see.
So it goes back to the overarching marketing strategy, which is key markets, target audience. So what are the demographics? Who do you reach? How do you reach them? And if you're reaching, I'm trying to give an example. If you're trying to reach, people with young children, okay, that's not our key target audience. Our key target audience are, couples traveling, and then probably empty nesters. And then the people with children would probably be a secondary market, I would say. Geography is really important to us. So because there's only you have to be realistic about from a marketing perspective, who you're trying to reach and what the bigger opportunity is. So, and then eyeballs. So it is really, if you're thinking about putting a proposal together, you've got to talk to us and then find out what the key points are for this year. And then as I said, one of the key things for 2025 is culinary and really pushing that to the nth degree. So there has to be some sort of a qualitative content in there that's going to reach and meet the needs of what we're trying to promote. If you're thinking about if this is a pay to play scenario. So thinking about all that, and really, Lindsay, what I would recommend is it starts with a conversation. And that's where that's where we can help guide you if we felt that there was, the desire and the benefit on both sides to create something together. And that's really where it has to start, because otherwise you're flying blindly, right? And you're not sure, because every destination is different, and every DMO has different aspects that they're going to use for content creation versus other things. So I would recommend that it would start with a conversation. Just pop me an email. Happy to connect you with our head of marketing. We could go from there.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. No problem. Mickey, beyond the usual whale watching tours, are there other opportunities for more unique wildlife experiences? Where's Mickey? Let's see. Oh, Mickey, there you are. Okay. Have you ever done bird watching?
Not for years and years. And it's something I don't usually think about. That's an interesting one.
Exactly. This is the point. So we're on something called the Pacific Flyway. Richmond is, and Delta to Tsawwassen. And there's actually this whole thing called the BC Bird Trail now that we actually started about 6 years ago. And believe it or not, it's pretty cool. It's very different than the whale watching experience. Absolutely. It's very serene. And we have this incredible guy called Liron Gertzman, who we work with to help us who does tours, actually. He's this very cool 25-year-old UBC science grad who does this kind of on the side and is very passionate. And he's really cool, very passionate about birds. So he comes with his book, right? And he's like, okay, Mickey, here you see the blah, blah, blah. I don't remember any of them. But even and I didn't think I would necessarily enjoy that type of visitor experience, to be frank. I mean, obviously, I agree that, yes, it's but it's really cool. And you've got someone like Liron, and he is just awesome. So that's an example of that ecosystem wildlife that is not grizzly bears or, it's not that, but it's urban. And like Terra Nova, I don't know if you've ever been out to Terra Nova, or if you ever go out to, Gary Point, the vistas are amazing. But yet you're still in this very urban environment, and you get to see these birds, and somebody like a Liron can help introduce you. So that would be my hot tip, my hot take of the day for you is bird watching, which even within British Columbia has become really, really popular. So if you ever needed more information on that, I'd be very happy to provide you and connect you with Liron. And he's a very cool guy. So.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it really is awesome. And I tell you, and I mean this very sincerely, like I really wasn't sure what to expect when I did it. And then we just had so much fun, and it was just such a different experience. It was, hot, sunny day. The other cool thing though, is that you can do it any time of the year. So it's weatherproof. As long as you've got a good jacket and a hood, you're good. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
There was a culinary question. I'm not sure if we had a chance to get to.
Yeah, so the culinary, there are a couple of ways to do this. So there's the self-guided aspect, and we've just actually relaunched the world famous dumpling trail, if you will. I say world famous, somewhat tongue in cheek, but anyway, world famous dumpling trail in Richmond. And we have just kind of relaunched it. We've gone through and had to kind of do a full redo of the restaurants and the experiences that were actually on the trail, because some of them had closed down, some of them had changed ownership. Like just through COVID, as you know, the restaurant and the restaurant world is just different now. So we've got 17 new dumpling experiences on the trail. That's self-guided. That's something you can do on your own with your friends. It's all on our website. It's really easy to do. And you go to a particular restaurant or in the food court, and they will tell you which dumpling to actually order. And I would challenge you to get past 5, but that's, that's your own challenge that you can make work in your own time. That one is certainly what we think is very unique, certainly within North America, as we look at the different trails. Like I mentioned, the BC Bird Trail, well, the Dumpling Trail, self-guided eating tour is really fun. And then there's Vancouver Foodie Tours. They actually offer an authentic Asian eats tour for smaller groups, like 8 to 10 people. And if any of you know Michelle Ng, her team just does an amazing job. And again, they get at the heart, they get at the storytelling, they take you to 2 or 3 or 4 different places within Richmond, all walkable. And that's one that's more curated to, a tour scenario, whereas the Dumpling Trail is a little bit more, not a little bit, but it is self-guided. So those are examples of where, we've worked with a stakeholder like Michelle, and she's created this on her own. And this is it's a revenue for her. And we support her and work together with her a lot. And then the other one is more self-guided. So supporting those local restaurants who frankly desperately need it right now. It's very challenging time on a lot of different fronts within the culinary world, as I'm sure you all know. So, yeah, it's really so those are 2 food experiences that I would highly recommend. Alex Gill as well, who probably many of you know, she does something called Dine Like a Critic. That's really good for something smaller, like maybe 5, 6 people. She does a really, really good job. So, I always like to give her a plug because we've been great partners over the last number of years, and we've helped her kind of launch that part of her business. Jen, you met Liron. That's great. That's awesome. He really is the best. And then birding, culinary, and I think that I have to be careful when I say this because, but it is really about accessibility to the entire Metro Vancouver experience, and that to me is pretty powerful. We don't want to move them out of Richmond, but there is something very powerful about that regional piece that is very unique to Richmond. So, you could literally be in Victoria downtown in 20 minutes via Harbour Air from the South Terminal. So 20 minutes is what it takes. 30 minutes from downtown Vancouver, 20 minutes from and history too, yes. But I think there's that piece that as a stopover, but also as a kind of jumping off point as well. And to the history point, thanks, John, for bringing that up. Yeah, I will add it there. Yeah, just give me 2 secs. The piece around the history around Steveston, which is the picture behind me there, that is very powerful. And we have 2 National Historic Sites here in the city of Richmond. 2 of them, both of them are in Steveston, one on kind of opposite ends of the fishing village. Very, very interesting history, and the Britannia Shipyard and then the Gulf of Georgia Cannery do a phenomenal job in creating those stories and telling those stories about how all of those things have built up. And yeah, the coyotes, I'm not sure I like the coyotes. Nothing against coyotes, but they scare me. Beavers, yes, for sure. Yeah. So look at you, Jen. You saved me the job. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Yeah, and then I think the shopping is an interesting one, and I appreciate you bringing that up because Aberdeen Mall, which is also has a great food court, actually. Check it out. They have some really interesting shopping experiences in that mall. So that's always a fun one to go to. And again, very very distinctive, very different. So yeah, so this is a thing, and I love having you guys. Some of you have been here, some of you have not, and I love that conversation about, well, what's different, what's unique, and you can see from the conversation that there's a lot happening, and the city is definitely evolving for the better, I think is what I would say, and recognizing where we've been in our history, and there's such a massive amount of resource that goes towards preserving that history and those stories, but also the new development that's happening in the city, which is all very positive. So yeah. Tanya, any I think I've got
I think that was
great.
everything.
Amazing. Great. And yeah,
Excellent.
check out Leron. He's pretty cool, and we can hook you up as well. And I would just please urge anybody to contact me anytime. Really would love to see all of us. And I'm not sure what our plans are in terms of whether there's going to be another kind of group fam trip or whether it will just be individual. We'll kind of assess that as we go through the year. But we as an organization are back in terms of more proactive, hopefully outreach, and definitely more budget allocation. So it's a really important part of our strategy for this year.
Thank you so much, Nancy. This was awesome. Lots of discussion. So
Good.
I'm really glad to see that. And yeah, team, for everyone on the call, we'll make sure that we share more information on citizen relations and who your contact will be to, get set up with those press trip
Did
opportunities.
you want a copy of the presentation? I mean, I don't know if you want it, Tanya. I'll send it to you. You can decide whether you want it or not. It's more for me, but
Yeah,
yeah.
we can PDF it and send that along as well.
If,
Yeah,
if people want it, they can have it 100%. There's nothing in there that's secret or private. So all good.
Yeah.
And it was really great to see everybody. And best of luck in the coming weeks when spring will come, and we'll be in a much more sunnier disposition, I guess, is what I would say. So
Absolutely. Send some of that weather our way.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining our
everyone.
first virtual PD session. Thanks to Nancy and Tourism Richmond for
Thank you.
participating for our first one. And we will ensure that this recording is shared on the TMAC website, and we'll send a follow-up with all these action items. So thank you all so much today, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah,
Thanks
see my
again.
BC friends soon, and see you all hopefully in Saskatoon, a place I've never been, so I'm very excited to attend in June.
Yes.
Okay.
See you
Take
all in
care.
Saskatoon for sure.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.